right, it's time for another episode of PEBAheads, and today Scott and I are going to go over the Hall of Fame ballot and kind of some of our initial thoughts on how we determine who we put on our ballot list, and then kind of at the end maybe take a peek at some of the guys that are coming down or that will be eligible in the next season or two for us to look at. How's it going, Scott?
Pretty good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. It's always a fun time of the PEBA year where you kind of had that little bit of a lull. Then we get the Hall of Fame discussion going, and free agency just started. So things are starting to pick up a bit.
A little bit.
I was going to say a little bit.
It's a little slow, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I know the board has the challenge of trying to fit dates and make those things work. But yeah, it would be nice to maybe have a discussion as a league of ways that we could speed things up. Because I mean, we all know that there's a lot that goes into putting a sim together and doing the collecting the exports and doing all that. And we want people to have time to make decisions, but it definitely does seem like there might be the ability to maybe eliminate or combine some sims to speed things up a bit. Because man, what is it like 2 months of an off season in the middle of the
Yeah.
Major League Baseball season and summer, and it's like I don't.
I've never really complained too much about the speed of the in-season time, but it seems like our off season is just as slow as the regular season, where it'd be nice if it kind of just sped up the downtime. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I knew when I joined this league that it was a much, much slower pace than most of the leagues I had been in. So it's
Well, and no, but yeah, both you and I are in other leagues. I'm sure a lot of people in our league are as well. And it kind of, at least my other league is in the regular season there, so it kind of you can.
Yeah, that helps for me. Right now, both of them are in the off season, but the other league sims way faster, like twice the speed of PEBA. So,
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know what right is, but it definitely feels slow.
well, especially when you didn't make the postseason. So it's been a really long time since you've had any baseball action.
So yeah, really for you, it'd be like 3 months instead of a 2 month off season because you're already scrambling thinking. I mean, you made some moves. We'll talk about it at a different time, but already, so you're kind of
Yeah,
sitting
I'm
here
I'm, I'm ready to go. I want to see some
ready
action.
to go. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get digging in on the Hall of Fame. I'm going to share my screen to the PDF that was sent out for us, which always appreciate. Let me see if is it going to let me. Okay, I'm gonna have to open it. I had it open as a PDF. I think I'm gonna have to open it in a browser to be able to share on Zoom. So while we do that, um, let's just get started in talking about, is there a certain set of criteria when you first get that list that you kind of do your overall yes or no, or maybe on guys?
Yeah, so what I do is, I appreciate that the list has typically not been super long. So someone is already, digging through and making a decision on who's eligible and who's not eligible to be on the list. So I'll take each one and I'll go into the game and look at their total stats. Um, and then you can narrow it down, because you can easily kick off a bunch of names that way and say, oh, okay, interesting player, but not going to happen. And then you can narrow it down to a much smaller list where you can start to look at it. And every once in a while, like on this one, I think I mentioned to you in the past, there's two names that popped off the list immediately for me when I was looking at their overall stats, and that's Brad Davis and Wilson Munoz. The two of them have some pretty serious offensive stats for their career. Davis for sure. The thing about Davis, we were talking to I think his career WAR is 60 maybe.
I think it's even lower than that. I think it's like 40. I've got it up here. Let's see.
Yeah, so I looked. So we got 25 players currently in the Hall of Fame, 12 batters and 13 pitchers. I I was able to sort inside the game. The highest career WAR of any current Hall of Famer is Marcus Hancock with 135 career WAR. The lowest is Ronald Lowry, shortstop, with 53. Yeah, so Davis, 49.9, but which I think his WAR is it's got to be damaged by the fact that he probably was not a very good first baseman. He probably DH'd, I'm guessing. But the guy has over 3,000 hits for crying out loud. You know, 32-24 and 433 home runs and 1,675 RBIs, 1,535 runs scored. I mean, this guy just had a monster offensive career. And he did it consistently for a very long time. I think when I was looking at him, the guy had productive offensive seasons at the age of 40 and 41.
Yeah, it's wild because it's like if you're going just by WAR, you're gonna be like, okay, well he's the low if he gets in the Hall of Fame, he's the lowest WAR rated hitter to make the Hall of Fame. But then you really start if you start digging into it, you start seeing that like can you on my screen is it showing the
Yes,
stats lab? There's only one player with over 3,000 hits in the Hall of Fame.
Rob Raines.
That's Rob Raines. So it's like I get it. Rob Raines, obviously a beast, 130.4 WAR, but I'm get
Yeah,
Davis.
their offensive numbers. I mean, Davis had what 100 and some more home runs, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Raines had more because
Raines. Yeah,
Davis is 400 and something, but 433 to
433.
560 something. But they had some similar production offensively. I'm not saying that Raines wasn't better than Davis. He was absolutely, but he wasn't twice as good offensively. So all that war is a ton of that war has got to come from defense.
Well, I'm guessing Davis was mostly a DH based on that WAR. Let me see if it how many career games he's got it.
Yeah, when you pull it up his and
Yeah,
I think you
early
can
on,
look at.
it looks like early on in his career he was a first baseman, but then he started about 26, 27, 28. He was first base half the time and then DH and then kind of goes on and off for West Virginia for a few seasons where it looks like he moved back to first base most of the time, but then basically his age 35 season and on, he was primarily like a DH only type player. But I mean, that does that mess with his, I guess, his WAR? It does a little bit because DH, you're going to be getting less WAR than if he was playing first base every day. But let me share in game here. Um, we'll go to his player screen because I know before we logged on, you had mentioned the Hall of Fame metrics session, and that I always find that interesting, and I like showing it because it's a good comparison to the players that are already in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
And then,
when you sort that page by each one of those metrics, the jaws, the gray ink, the black ink, when you sort the current Hall of Fame players by those, it's funny. I think there's of all of them, there's like I don't know, five or six different metrics. Marcus Hancock leads every one of those except for one. I mean, he's the clear in a way the beast of the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
oh, and that's what's interesting too is like when you go to the individual player part, there's like little question marks that explain what all of the like what Jaws means, what black ink, what gray ink means, and like on Jaws, it looks like he's a little bit below what the average Hall of Fame first baseman would be. But then you look in our league at what one I think we only have two. We got three first basemen in there, and it's like You got
Yeah.
one with 654 home runs, one with 568, and one with 457. So the standard is high to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah. He's below the other first basemen who are in the Hall of Fame, but that doesn't change the fact that he was a monster offensively for a very long time.
Yeah, and that's where like the gray ink stat kind of steps in, and that's where it shows the number of times a player was top 10 in the league in certain stats. So it's your main hitting stats. So the average Hall of Famer is at 123, and he finished top 10 173 times. So
And I do like that one a lot. I think that helps, to show where these players were in compared to the people they were playing against.
yeah. Well, and a lot of people like in today's baseball game, like I know like Manny Machado just got 2000 his 2000th career hit, and I think he's got three Gold Gloves. Well, you look at that and it's like, oh, he's got three Gold Gloves. So it's pretty good, but it's only three. Well, if you don't have the context that he's also playing in the same league that Nolan Arenado is, who won like 10 in a row, it doesn't give both of them are great defenders. Only one person can win the award. So I do like the gray ink one because it does show guys that they might not have been the greatest person at their position that year, but they were in the top 10 and they're above average. And to your point, he's done it for a long time. It's not like he had crazy peak and then just kind of fell off a cliff. I mean, I think a lot when you look at his overall numbers, I mean, he did what most people do. At some point you're gonna start to fall off a bit, but how much of that was, I mean, his 41 and 42 season, yeah, they're not very good, but even at 41 though, he still hit 269 with a 356 on base percentage. So it's not like he was a slouch. He still put up one WAR in
Yeah.
56 starts. So it's it's hard because it's like, yeah, you don't you're looking at some of these and it's like I think at 37 he hit like 12 home runs in the season. It's like why why I keep playing, but he did, and I don't think that means that you just take it away either because a lot of people retire and don't have the numbers. So
Right.
it's hard, but he's definitely
I think he'll
I,
get in.
yeah,
I think Brad Davis gets in. Don't you?
I think so. I don't know if it'll be this time because I think there's some people that are like he's not a I'm not voting for him first ballot, but maybe he's a guy down the road that gets in. And it
That's
might be
fine. The problem with that is if too many people have that opinion, he drops off, right?
exactly.
So, I mean, fortunate for him, he's got guys like us who are, tooting his horn and saying he deserves to get in.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing for me is like the hits. And then if people don't like hits, well then go look at his total bases or look at there's other things that we can look at where it shows that I mean he was second in PEBA career total bases throughout his career. So if you don't like hits, but you're an on base percentage person, he's basically accumulated the second amount of total bases in the league. So that's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
He's definitely an offensive threat, and it's like it it does make it a little bit challenging though. Like when I know Michael and our group talked about like he specifically brought up like the position that a player plays, and you know you can't have just a Hall of Fame full of first basemen that hit.
Yeah. First baseman and corner outfielders, right?
Yeah, but I
No, I
think
get it. I
he's
get it.
different. I think Davis is different though. Like I think,
Yeah, I think he was exceptional with the bat.
and I mean, I think the top stolen base guy should be in the Hall of Fame. I think the top home run guy should be in the Hall of Fame, and he's the top guy for well, is it? Let's see. What did we say? He's the top guy for
Oh,
all-time leader in hits, and he's an all-time leader in games, which games is a little less.
I think he's second, right? He's second in hits to was it Rob Raines?
I think no, he has more. He
He
has
does.
almost 200 more than
Oh,
Ring.
so he
So,
is the all-time leader in hits.
yep. Second, third in runs, second in total bases, and third in RBI. And obviously, you're gonna have the anti-RBI crowd, but the bottom line is you knock people in. So,
Yeah, he's the leader in career games too. 3,063 games. So, I mean, that's what people are going to say. Well, that's why he's the leader in hits. He had such a long and consistent career. And I say, yeah, that's why I voted for him.
well, that's the thing. It's like you can never just because someone was on a path to get somewhere but never got there, there's people that will make the argument, well, they're the greatest. And it's like you got to actually accumulate the numbers too. It's not just, well, if they would have had this, they had this 4 year run, and if that would have just went on for 16 years, they would have been. And it's like, okay, but they didn't. So
Yeah.
nice 4 year run.
He's the leader in doubles too, 669 career doubles.
I
Do we
mean,
do we
that's
need
enough for
to
me.
all right.
So wait a second. You know what? I'm looking at this, and I think the spreadsheet's wrong.
Yeah, I was looking in the
Because on his
game.
player page in game, he's got 73.2 WAR. And I think maybe on the spreadsheet, they just didn't update the WAR because on the spreadsheet it says 49.3 WAR. So yeah, 73.2 looks a lot better than
Yeah. No, he's not.
nice.
So he won't be. Yeah, I'm looking at him in game, and he is 73.2 in game. So he won't be the lowest. Again, the lowest right now, the lowest is Ronald Lowry with
Yeah.
50.
So I mean, I'll take that back. Really, I don't know why you wouldn't vote for him first ballot because he's like based on the Hall of Fame right now, he'd be the fourth highest in WAR. He leads the league in hits. I mean, up there, leads the league in doubles. Like, I don't know what else there would be to vote for unless you just don't like first baseman.
Or you just don't like Brad Davis.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over to the other player that stood out to you, Scott.
Wilson Munoz.
All
Not
right.
not quite the offensive production of Brad Davis, but uh, again, two things that stood out about these two players is their longevity. They both had an extremely long time in the league and were able to be consistent for a long stretch of that. So he ended up with 2,134 hits, 456 doubles, 484 home runs, 1,453 RBIs, and 1,229 that's base on balls. His runs scored, 1,207 runs scored. So I voted for both of these guys. I thought they were both, again, offensive producers for an extremely long period of time.
So, how much do you factor in if somebody won a championship? Does that have any factor at all to you?
Not at all. Not a single. I've never even looked at it.
No, I agree. It's like one of those where it's nice to know, but it's like
Yeah, championships are team statistics. No one person is going to carry a championship. It's just never, it's not something baseball can do. Might be a little easier in other sports, maybe basketball off the top of my head, but there's just so much that you need. You could have the best player in the league, and that does not mean that you're going to win a championship. You need a team around that player, or you're not going to win.
yeah, it's like for me, it's like more something someone can write an article about because it looks like that first championship he must have had just a amazing playoffs because he won the league championship MVP, he won the extreme championship MVP. Like that, he must have been carrying the team, but at the same time, it's like to your point, it's a team accomplishment and not necessarily. It's a good thing to have in your career, but I'm more focused on for Hall of Fame the aspect of that he's fourth in career home run in PEBA history. He's fifth in career RBI. He's fifth in career walks, and then he's got the his WAR. He's like 61.3, so he's right around there. It's just it's crazy to see the numbers that he did produce when we know that the league was set up in a way where it was more pitching dominated, and he still put up some pretty good numbers. Because like when you compare it to MLB, you're like, ah, it's 484 or 500. If he would have just gotten to 500 home runs, maybe that pushes it. And I always had to like take that step back of like, you're not, I can't compare things to MLB numbers because these players are not playing in a league that is the same output settings as what we would see traditionally in Major League Baseball. So 484 home runs is a lot more valuable in our league than where it would be at in Major League Baseball. I'm going to stop my screen share for now, but you want to show or tell me again how the screen you had up where you were looking at like a bunch of different players and what their Hall of Fame metrics were? Was
Go
that
to
in?
go to history index,
Okay.
uh, Hall of Fame. Oh, you want yeah, go to history index and then um see now I can't. Oh, players. Yeah, history index players, then retired players, and now you'll see it. And then I was sorting by Jaws, black ink, gray ink, Hall of
Huh.
Fame standard. Do you have it?
No, I'm trying to. I got league history index up.
So go to league history index, and then up at the top bars goes history, champions, milestones, Hall of Fame.
I'm gonna have to
Then
go through this through a different way. Let's see. League history. Okay.
and
Hall of
now
Fame.
now you got the top bar says players, history,
Gotcha.
champions.
Yep.
Then down in the gray bar below that it says retired players.
Gotcha.
And now you can sort. These are all the retired players, and you'll see the ones in green are already in the Hall of Fame. But
Okay. I'm gonna share my screen here.
you can sort by stats. You can sort by the one that I was using was the default page, which shows the different Hall of Fame metrics. And if
No,
you do
that's
that, like Jaws, Marcus Hancock is the leader. Black ink, Marcus Hancock is the leader. Gray ink, Marcus Hancock is the leader. Then if you do Hall of Fame standards, it's a guy named Ricardo Perez. And then Hall of Fame monitor, Marcus Hancock is the leader. Coincidentally, I was looking at the war, career war leaderboard, and Marcus Hancock does have the career war for 135 war, but Gordon Knopp is at 129.60. So Gordon Knopp is almost assuredly, barring an injury, going to be the career war leader at the end of next season or somewhere through the middle of next season, I think.
that's wild.
Speaking of surefire first ballot Hall of Famers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy could have a career-ending injury
He's in
today,
right now. Yeah.
and he's in. Yeah, and he's still got a lot of baseball left in him.
Yeah. He's like what, 33 or going into like 33, something like that.
He's just amazing, an amazing player.
Yeah. All right. Well, Do you want to share with the league the rest of your list that you put in, and I can share
Yeah,
mine
I
as
could if I remember it. No, a couple more players I wanted to talk about was
okay.
like
Well,
here's an interesting one, Kenny Ashley, right?
okay.
So I've voted for this guy on a number of ballots, and I get it. His career ERA is not outstanding, right? But he's second in the league in wins, you know, and you could argue that the win stat is not the best stat to judge a pitcher's performance, but it's pretty good. It's not the best, there are a lot of factors that go into wins, but I just have a hard time keeping out the guy who has 230 some wins. You know what I mean? What
Yeah,
what are your what are your thoughts on Kenny Ashley? Again, I get it. Like when you look at his overall stats, you're like, oh, you're not overly impressed.
it's probably a longevity thing, but at the same token, at what at what point do wins start to matter? Because people say, "Oh, well, you benefit by having a good team around you and you get a win." Well, if you have 20 years of that, I mean, and you're winning the games that you're supposed to win and other people aren't.
Well,
Uh,
you know what he did? He did. This is the theme, right, of the podcast, I think. He was very consistent for an extremely long period of time. The guy broke into the league at 21, and he had a pretty full season at 39. He retired at the age of 40 with only one win, one loss, 16 games. But his age 39 season, he went 10 and 15 with a 3.85 ERA and 29 games started with 180 innings pitched. That's not fantastic, but that's again consistent performance for decades.
yeah, and you look at specific awards that he won, and it's kind of like three-time All-Star. Okay, well, that's good, but it's not like jumping off the page at you as like being elite. But then you start going down, and he obviously logged a ton of innings. He, uh, the third all-time in wins, made a shit ton of starts throughout his career, 554. Uh, he was going deep into games too, so there's value in that. And third all-time in shutouts. So not only are you completing games, but you're shutting teams out. So he definitely had runs of being one of the top pitchers in the game for a long time. It's interesting when you start comparing him to starting pitchers already in the game or in the Hall of Fame. He would be the lowest WAR starting pitcher in the Hall of Fame. But I mean, some of these guys, you look at their win totals and they're lower, but they also have lower starts in their career. So they had higher peaks, probably higher player, but they didn't have the longevity that Ashley has. So that's where it comes to the how the voters want to view it and see what's important, I guess. I think both are important,
I
but
agree. And I think it's his third ballot, right? This is definitely not his first. I think he might be the third ballot that he's on. So if you had reservations in the past because of, his pedestrian ERA, um, I get it, but I just don't think the second, most wins of any pitcher in the league really should be out. And again, will someone surpass 230 some wins? Yeah, sure, but not tomorrow. I mean, it's going to be a while before that happens.
yeah, that'd be another one to do a podcast episode on is just look at some of the PEBA records and see if there are any existing players that even have a shot. That you need to write that one down.
And then another one is that Alfredo Aranda. He's the second in saves, career saves. I thought, if you look at the leaderboard, I think that the leader in saves is already in there.
You have the Ricardo Perez at 703. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's got 606 and a really nice career ERA, two something. I just looked at him and said, if now these are two aspects of the ballot, right? The aspect that I definitely stress is longevity. So, can somebody be a consistently good to great performer over a very long period of time? But the other one that is talked about a lot is, positions, right? You don't want a Hall of Fame with nothing but starting pitchers and nothing but corner outfielders and first baseman. Well, this guy is a reliever. He's a closer, and he was arguably the second best closer, the game has had or the league has had.
I think that's a good point to bring up too on the position is that it's not his fault or problem that he was only a closer. That is a position in the game, and he was arguably the second best
He's got
one
the
that the
record.
league has ever seen.
He's got the record for the most saves in a season, 56. He did it in 2026. I'm looking at the career saves. Yeah, so yeah, Ricardo Perez is first, 703. This Alfredo Aranda is in second place with 606. And an active player, Bob Burns, is in third place with 519. Burns
Old.
is Burns is 43 years old, so
Okay, so he's not gonna.
I think
Yeah,
he's gonna I think he's gonna stay in. He
yeah.
didn't when did he pitch last year? Yeah. Yeah, he pitched last year with Madison.
Hmm.
He pitched with Madison. Oh, he was traded. Yeah, it was Madison and Toyoma. He ended up with he ended up with no one save, no, 10 saves last year.
Okay,
So he's not gonna get into third place or second place. I mean, he's gonna be stuck in third for a while.
not a bad place to be.
No, but like third place is Burns. Fourth place is a guy named Matt Brown with 443. So you're looking at some pretty big number differences between these spots. The next closest active is Jose Lopez. He's got 383. He's 37 years old. So, it's going to be a while before someone gets close to 600 saves.
Well, I could be talked into voting for Aranda because I think I initially left him off, but I didn't vote for 10 players, which I know I've been critical of people not voting for the full amount in the past, but that was more so when the ballot was, I think, more more heavily weighted with some superstars on it. But you dig deeper into this for the Hall of Fame standard rating, he's 79 and the Hall of Fame average is a 55. And to remind everybody, that's uh, the measure of overall quality over a player's complete career, not peak value. And then for the Hall of Fame monitor, he's a 172, and the average Hall of Famer is a 164. So that's derived to estimate the chance a player is elected to the Hall of Fame based on criteria Hall of Fame voters have tended to use. What that actually means in OOTP, I don't know exactly on what the criteria it is, but I would assume that a relief pitcher, you'd be looking at saves, you'd be looking at their ERA, maybe their strike K per nine for his career is like 11.9. ERA plus is 138. So he's up there. He's right. If you're like anti-closer, then maybe that's where you don't vote for him, but it's a position in the Hall of Fame. If it came down to it where you had like 12 guys that you wanted to vote for and maybe two of them were closers, I tend to vote for the other players, but when if you're not full, I guess, on your 10 players this year, and and maybe he is one of the 10 players you vote for.
Yeah, I don't think I got the 10. A couple other players I liked was Christian Webb and Steve McDonald.
Well, which one do you want to talk about next?
Let's do Webb. We'll do an order of career WAR. Webb is above McDonald. Christian Webb has 62.6 career WAR, and McDonald has 59.88. So let's give Webb the benefit of going first here.
All right.
Not definitely not Brad Davis territory here when it comes to offensive production. But I think you do. I would agree that you have to take in position into account. And he was one of the best third basemen. How many we have? How many? I don't think we have very many third basemen. You had that pulled up before. I don't
We've
think.
only got one.
Yeah. So maybe we can compare Webb to who? Let's see who's in the Hall of Fame.
Luis Cedeno, which he looks like he's a beast. 91.7 WAR, but I'm gonna guess that Webb was probably more of a. He's a guy that could hit, but I'm guessing his defense. Yeah, he
Yeah,
won
he had a good glove.
defense.
He had one all leather award, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he had a good glove. I don't know if he kept it for his entire career, but I remember he played for me one season. I think I got him. I think it might have been a contraction draft.
Hmm.
I
Back
can't
in
remember.
2024.
I traded him. You know who I got for him? I do know this. I got this memorized. I traded and got a draft pick, first rounder, I think, and three players, one of which was a guy by the name of Steve Boyer. So not a bad haul for Mr. Webb.
Isn't it weird how you remember that kind of stuff
Yeah.
in a fantasy baseball game? Got
Speaking
his
speaking of
fielding.
Boyer,
Looks like
what are your thoughts on the fact that I mean, he did not have a great career. I will, full disclosure, I gave him a homer vote. I voted for him on this ballot, but did not have, you know, eye-popping numbers, but he's the all-time or he's the single season home run leader with 54 home runs in a single season.
for me, he's one of those guys where it's like you had a run there of being one of the best, but it was just so short term that he's probably not one I'm going to vote for.
Yeah, he did
Doesn't mean
not have.
that he's like an above he's an above average player. Like he was a good player, but just not good enough for me long term to vote for him.
I can get behind that. I don't think I probably would have voted for him if it wasn't for him being my player. But having
Well,
said
and
that,
that's what's great about it is like you can vote for who you want, and I know we've talked about it before, and it's like my thing is like I think it's great for like we don't have to agree. That would be boring if we all just agreed on who is in. Let's be like, what's the point of even having votes? But like have a discussion about it, like, and maybe maybe there's something that other people are missing, and if there's someone that you're passionate about that didn't make it this year, bring it up as a league and try to explain why they should be in. Maybe there's things that other people are overlooking, and you start digging into the details, and it's like, yeah, maybe he's not like, maybe not in the case of Boyer, but maybe there's another player out there where it's like, you look at their numbers, it doesn't look too hot, but then when you compare it to other second basemen, or they're actually, right up there near the top. So just,
so what are your thoughts on that? So again, I put a lot of weight on consistent performance over a long period of time. What are your thoughts? I know some people like players who dominate for a shorter period of time, but they were just so dominant. Well, Boyer had, you know, I think he was the best player that year. I mean, he just crushed. I think he has like 154 RBI that year. It was just a true monster season. Now, he never again got close to it, but you know, would 3 seasons of dominance be enough to carry somebody over the top for you if they didn't have the longevity?
I think for me, the hard part of just knowing what I know from when I joined the league, there are periods of this league where settings change and a player could look really good for 2, 3 seasons, and then whether it's internal settings or the game version switching and then that player not longer being good, I think that's why I tend to lean more towards the longer term success because regardless of version, regardless of minor tweaks here or there, you still perform. And I think that's why I lean the way I do on this. But even when you look at like MLB players, it's like, yeah, it's great you had a 3 year run, but it was 3 years. And then you look at somebody that did it for 20, and it's just like, how, like it's for me, it's not the Hall of Very Good. It's the best of the best, and that's how I kind of not the best 3 year run. Because in I think that's where it makes it hard too, though, is like when you start narrowing the years, then you start getting larger and larger bunches of players because a lot of the great players have 3 year runs that are, and you start comparing which are better, and yeah, there's ways of differentiating or substantiating that, but then it's like for me, the next step after that, it's like, what else did you do? Were you still above average, like during
Yeah,
this game?
I do want our Hall of Fame to be elite, right? I don't want, 200 players in our Hall of Fame, real soon. If we're going to get to 200 Hall of Famers, we better have a lot more seasons under our belt. And judging from the pace of our league, I don't think I'll be alive to see 200 players in our Hall of Fame.
I hope you're alive, but I don't think we're going to see that number.
But 25, right? That's what we got right now. You
Yeah,
know, I'm guessing we're going to get three, four out of this class. What would you guess? Another
I don't
two, three,
know.
four?
I mean, there's been seasons where no players have
Yeah.
been elected, and I thought that the pool was a lot better in those years than what this pool is. So, but I don't know if maybe that also benefits these guys because rather than people trying to spread out 10 votes among 15 guys that they thought were eligible, now you're really spreading out your 10 votes among maybe 5, 6, 7 guys that most people might agree on. So I don't know if that maybe will help some of these guys more, like the clear consensus ones. But
I think Webb's got a shot. That's one of the reasons why I brought him up. He's got a lot of, he's got awards. He's got good career numbers, not spectacular, but good. And he played quality third base. Again, McDonald too. I don't know if we've looked at him yet, right?
yeah, we haven't. Let's pull him up quick.
Steve McDonald. Only thing he's got going against him, in my opinion, is he played for Aurora for so long. I mean, that's a strike, right? Has to be. But similar numbers, right? Played second base. He's got a gold glove also, right? Or, I'm sorry, he's got a all leather. He got more all-star appearances, no championships.
And he's a leader among catchers in walks, strikeouts, games, at bats, and doubles.
So I think he's got a shot too. It wouldn't disappoint me at all to see both of those guys in there. They look like bubble guys to me, where they could get in.
Yeah, it's with McDonald that I want to pull it up here to see just of retired players and kind of look at maybe their career WAR and just kind of look at, let's see, batting stats. Let's do WAR. The thing I worry about with the bubble guys is like you put one of these guys in, and then what does that do to then it makes guys that were not on the bubble now on the bubble because you keep lowering
Yeah,
the standard of what who gets in. Because like right now, how many catchers do we have in? We've
just
got
one,
one catcher,
just German Hernandez.
and he's got 53.2 career WAR. McDonald's got 38.6.
McDonald's
And
a second baseman.
oh, this has
Yeah, I don't know why. I am okay. I'm almost certain McDonald's a second baseman.
okay. Let me see, Steve. That could be why he doesn't show up as a catcher on.
He's a second baseman.
Okay, let's do
I remember because
second
he
base.
was on Aurora for a very long time, and I
Okay.
unfortunately have to play them a lot every season.
See, this is making me wonder if these stats are even okay. Some I don't know if this is my what I opened up or what, but the PDF
So
on McDonald is wrong because this is like in game it shows him as a 308 average with a 392 on base percentage and 59.9 career WAR, which is the second or the third highest WAR out of second baseman, and or it could be actually second highest WAR, depending on
yeah,
because it's kind of
that's why I think the two of these guys could get in, and
yeah.
it wouldn't be a travesty if they did, is because Webb judged against third baseman is one of the best third basemen that has played the game. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's one of the best. And McDonald is one of the best second basemen. He's got very high WAR amongst career.
Oh, I think I know what's going on here. Steve McDonald's already in the Hall of Fame in
Oh,
2039. So I think what happened was when they
wasn't
were
he
doing this
on the
sheet.
list?
I
So
think what happened
the
was
people
when
were
they were
voting
doing
for a
this.
guy who was already in, or did I mess up who was on the list?
I think what happened was, well, he's listed here as a person we can vote for, but he was already voted
I,
in 2039. And then furthermore, I think this must be some other person because this says Bakersfield catcher. So I wonder if they just like were deleted Steve McDonald off of here, but then didn't catch the name and it like went to the wrong person or whatever. But I don't know who. Well, maybe we have to ask Lenny who this Bakersfield catcher really is.
huh,
But some catcher
interesting.
for yeah. Well, don't waste your vote for Steve McDonald then because he's already in the Hall of Fame.
Well, then I think that I is Webb in the Hall of Fame?
No, Webb is not. So
Okay.
you can, wow. All right. Well, let's see. Third baseman wise, let's see where Webb is fourth in WAR, and Lujan, who we were going to talk about in a little bit, is the leader at third base in WAR. Let me see. I'm just going to look at my sheet and see if there's anyone that we didn't talk about that I had on my sheet. Um,
Yeah, it says Steve 20 piece McDonald. I don't even know who that is. So that's not the same one that I was looking up.
huh, interesting. Kind of interesting, anyway. Now let's see. Who did I have on here? The Hernandez. There's a couple of Hernandez. Those are Claudio and then
Brian, say hello.
a Juan. Juan. Okay. So I had also on here like see this is why did I don't know. Now I'm confused. Feel like I was looking at a different sheet. I know Juan Hernandez I definitely voted for. He's a shortstop through with Crystal Lake that had a pretty good career. He's 10th in all time in PEBA games played. He's the leader at shortstop and games, at bats, runs, and hits, and a 63.9 WAR. And big thing for me was that you look at the two shortstops that are already in, and he's right in between both of them in WAR. So I'll make it short and sweet, but that's why I looked at him as possibly another one that to consider. Well, do you want to touch on some of the players you identified as guys that aren't eligible now, but will be eligible in the next couple
Yeah,
seasons?
so I was looking at some of the career leaders, and in the future classes, I two guys jumped out at me as surefire Hall of Famers. It's Alejandro Luan and Bartolo Mora, both retired this season, and they were beasts.
Yeah, it looks like Luan was like second all time in WAR with 94.4 out of retired players. I mean, he's got to be first ballot, right? Like, there's
Yeah,
no.
I would think so.
Then Mora's right up there too. He looks like he's currently fifth in WAR. He had 527 home runs.
Yeah.
Like, what does that put him for his career? 527 would be third all time of retired players. Well, I guess I could filter this by retired and active, get a better number. Maybe.
Yeah, Luan's in third place in WAR. It just shows you that Gordon Knopp. I mean, Luan has 98.18 career WAR, and that Knopp is already at 129.6.
What filter did this put on here? Now it's like, rather than having their career numbers, it's like one season of numbers. Anyway, we'll figure it out later. Definitely applied some sort of, maybe it's, no, I don't know. I hit retire and active players and then it just like switched everything and then there's not even like a filter on here anymore. But anyway, so we've got our Hall of Fame thoughts. We've talked about some of the players we think will be on there in the next couple seasons. And we've even talked about just kind of our general thoughts on the Hall of Good or the Hall of Great and how that works. I know there'll probably be lots of good conversation in the league about that and just kind of there's merit to the whole uh peak argument and what players did in their peaks, but I think it's more telling when you go to that argument and then you look at their collective numbers and it's not as good as someone with the longevity. That's where the debate part comes in on what's more important for me.
Well, we seem to be doing a pretty good job as a league because if you look at it, yeah, you could spot a player or two that you could say, oh, okay, but that you might say I might not have voted for that person, but when I look at all the players in the Hall of Fame, I can understand, I can see a justification for all of them being there.
Yeah, and I think we've done a lot better job the past few seasons of getting people that were kind of getting held back or not. I mean, there was one season I was here that nobody got voted in. So like and there were multiple guys that were on that ballot that I couldn't even vote for because I didn't have, you had 10 votes. You couldn't vote for anymore.
You you had more than 10 people that you wanted to vote for one season?
Yeah, I mean, there was
I don't think I've ever had 10 that I wanted to vote for. So
there was
I'm
years,
definitely more stingy than you are.
you might be, but there were years that like I mean Chris Long wasn't a first. I don't think Chris Long was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he was all-time leader in many shortstop categories. So there's instances where it's like I think people are voting based on numbers and they're not voting based on the position that a player played at. And you can have that debate, but I still think if you got good numbers, you should be in. And I think
I,
if
I
you're
do I do agree. I just it would not bother me at all if, say, 5 seasons from now, there were more corner outfielders and first basemen than there were shortstops and second baseman and third baseman. That would not bother me because while I totally agree with the argument that you should look at how these people compare in their careers to their other peers at their position. And if you're the first, second, third best ever shortstop, then yeah, absolutely vote him in. But those numbers might not be as good. I would not want to see, someone who had, like, again, Brad Davis, who had phenomenal numbers, be not voted in because, oh, we've got too many first basemen already. Well, no, if the numbers support it, then they should get in.
yeah, I'm still this is still throwing me for a loop on what button I hit to totally ruin this great screen you showed me with retired players and their stats and everything.
I
So
can get, I can get
we're
you
gonna
there
have
again.
to we're gonna have to talk about it offline, but
All right. I can easily get you there again. I found it, I think, I don't know. I can't remember when I found it, but
well, I
it was
found it, but it's like it applied this weird ass filter to it. Now no one has stats. I'm like, how does like it's showing Bartolo Mora for 15 home runs. It's like, oh, that's not right. So I don't know what it did. Anyway, at least we shared some screens that people can go dive in on and hopefully have some good discussion on Slack about. It was good though, Scott, as always. Good talking to you.
absolutely.
All right. Till next time. See ya.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
From the highlands of Edinburgh to the Jersey Shore, we've got baseball like you've never seen before. In Reno, the desert heats up the play, while in Bakersfield we swing the night away. Welcome to the PEBA, where the world's our field. From the mountains to the cities, the action's never sealed. With gloves on and bats in hand, we're here to thrill. In the Planetary Extreme Baseball Alliance, we've got the skill. Tokyo, the pitches fly like neon lights. And down in San Antonio, the game ignites. From the beaches of Florida to the plains of Fargo, our league's the wildest, we won't refrain. Welcome to the PEBA, where the world's our field. From the mountains to the cities, the action's never sealed. With gloves on and bats in hand, we're here to thrill. In the Planetary Extreme Baseball Alliance, we've got the skill. We cross borders with our bats. Our game's a global feast, where every hit's an adventure and every catch is a masterpiece. So tune in, sit back, and let's take the And in Toyoma, the crowd's the game's true lead. From Aurora's cool breeze to the heat in Havana, we play with passion. We're the baseball Globetrotters.